Hello and welcome to PCB Chat. I'm your host, Mike Buetow. Today's podcast is sponsored by PCB West, the leading conference and exhibition for the printed circuit design and manufacturing industry. Join thousands of engineers and designers this September at the Santa Clara Convention Center. Visit the website at pcbwest.com for more information. I'm speaking with Steve Pudles, a longtime EMS executive. You may remember him from a number of firms he's run, including New Visions EMS, Spectral Response, and the latest company is Zentech. So, Steve, welcome to PCB Chat.
Thanks, Mike. It's great to be here.
Blackburn Partners, with whom you're affiliated, has recently acquired Zentech, the EMS firm that has its headquarters in Maryland. What made Zentech attractive to Blackburn?
It's an interesting question, Mike, because I'm not sure you recall, but I was retired for about 5.5 years. I've known one of the principals at Blackburn for a little over 10 years. We met through a common advisor and friend. And when they let me know that they were looking at an opportunity in the Mid-Atlantic region, I got very interested, especially once I found out it was Zentech. One of the things that has been really exciting about Zentech is their laser focus on the mil-aero market. About 80% of our business today is in the mil-aero space, where we're on the AVL of about 19 of the top 20 military contractors in the U.S. And what was interesting is that the company continues to expand the business over the last 4 or 5 years, experiencing 20 to 25% year-over-year growth. And we, went out and spoke to all the customers, and I've been traveling since the acquisition to all the customers, and the company is as advertised. So we see a lot of continued growth in the mil-aero space, and it will also serve as a platform for us to expand geographically around the country in the same market focus.
Great. I'd like to get back to that in a second. Let me ask this. How long were you in negotiations for Zentech?
I want to say the whole process, was about 6 months, 7 months. It wasn't so much the negotiation process as much as, once we agreed on a transaction structure with the former CEO and the former private equity partners of his, then we spent quite a lot of time doing a deep dive into the business, as you would do due diligence on any acquisition of this size and complexity.
And the former CEO, of course, is Matt Turpin. And my understanding is that Matt plans to then step away from the business completely. Is that correct?
You read every day about transactions, and somebody says, "Oh, they're going on to do other things." Or it was a stated goal of Matt's from the beginning to really unwind from the business on a day-to-day basis. Matt and I have known each other for about 13, 14 years and have been very involved together in various activities of the IPC. And he really did want to step away from the day-to-day of the business. So he's still available to me as an advisor. We talk every couple of days. He's visited numerous customers with me post-transaction. And this is one of the smoothest transitions and most professional handoffs that I've ever been a part of. Matt has truly built a very great platform here, and I credit him with a lot of what I've inherited, and I'm very fortunate. The other good news is the balance of the management team has stayed intact. So from an operations and a technology and a finance and a sales and marketing, we have the same team, and they've all invested in the new platform, as well as Matt has invested himself. So it's really been a very, very professional, smooth transition. And as far as the customers are concerned, they're really seeing no difference into the day-to-day operations of the company.
Now, Steve, you've been on both sides of the merger and acquisition equation in EMS in your career. Has the acquisition process changed over time?
Not really. I think there's, if you want to look at something that's changed, especially over the last couple of years, it used to be that as an acquirer, you would come in with your, even financial due diligence, and you would bring in your own experts to do a quality of earnings report. And today, a lot of the companies actually, the sellers are actually preparing those in advance. So all the potential buyers are looking at the same data. But really, the transaction itself is very similar. From the time you get into letter of intent till the time the seller picks the the final partner they're going to go forward with to the consummation of the transaction, I would say very little is different today.
Now, you talked a bit about Zentech and its heavy vesting in the defense and aerospace market, and I know you personally have some very strong ties to the key prime contractors as well. Any plans to diversify beyond that, medical, industrial, anything else?
When asked to define our business, I always start obviously with the mil-aero because that's what we are today. But 15% of our business is also in the medical space, and the other 5% is in other, high reliability industrial space. So we will continue, obviously, to look at companies that have a mil-aero concentration, but we're also interested in expanding our medical base as well, because at the end of the day, what we are is a high reliability manufacturer of low to medium volume, medium to high technology, where you have a high degree of hand-holding with the customer, and there's I always refer to it as an intimacy with the customer and getting involved in all aspects of their business. And the medical expansion that I discussed fits well within that market focus that Zentech has and will continue to have.
Zentech has 2 plants on the East Coast. Do you see that as being the ideal makeup, or do you see having a location in another geography as being part of your future?
So we've already taken a map of the United States, and we've looked at the top 20 of the military contractors and plotted all of their manufacturing locations around the country. And, intuitively, we knew where else we wanted to be in the country, but the map kind of proves it out. So we're looking geographically where there's concentrations of other military contractors, and we are going to, through hopefully a series of very strategic acquisitions, look to expand geographies over the next 3 to 5 years at a minimum. And our goal is to not only expand geographically, but on an opportunistic basis, look at those types of companies that give us the ability to move upstream and downstream as well, to offer those same customers more services. And we're going to continue to evaluate the opportunities, number one, as they're presented, and then selectively contacting companies as we go forward to really highlight those areas, those geographies, and be able to maybe get into some deals that aren't necessarily on the market as yet. So we're going to continue to look at that, but our growth plans are to continue to grow organically and to look at strategic acquisitions so we can continue to build this into a multi-$100 million platform over time.
I know that the EMS space has generally avoided IPOs since the Great Recession. Do you see any signs of that changing in the next 18 to 24 months?
I won't speak for everybody else in this industry because I've talked to people who are on both sides of that, but I don't see in the next, as I use the same horizon, the next 3 to 5 years as we continue to expand. Even if we were sitting here as a $200 or $300 million company, I just don't, I don't think we are looking at the public marketplace as a place we want to be. And I don't think that's going to be for, something that we would do, but we'll go where the market takes us. And there's no urgency to think about a liquidity event. There's no urgency to think about any kind of sale because our investors are looking at long-term value, and they're very patient, and they've proven that in other investments they've made as well. So we're looking forward to a nice long run here.
Does Blackburn have other holdings in electronics?
They don't have current holdings in electronics. They're in some other manufacturing areas, but they currently aren't in anything else in electronics today. You'll remember one of the partners, the lead partner at Blackburn, a guy named John Bernstein, was one of the father and son owners of Corfin. So a lot of experience in a company that I think is, you'd also classify them in EMS, although they're on a kind of a splinter portion of that EMS, but he's got a great deal of knowledge from that business as well.
Great. And last question. In terms of capacity, where does Zentech stand right now? If you had a couple larger customers coming to you, could you take them on right now, or are you pretty close to being full?
The question of capacity is always interesting in this business because you can talk about capacity in terms of real estate, in terms of people, in terms of equipment, in terms of bottleneck of equipment. So we have the ability to hire to meet our current needs and anything that we anticipate in the future here, both in Maryland and in Virginia as well at our other facility. the ability of available real estate in the area is more than enough, and the ability to financially expand with surface mount lines or box build area or test equipment. So therefore, given the lead time of material and given the lead time to start up even a major project, I can't see that anything would stand in our way of growing, even if it was, a significant growth where we could be, up and running relatively quickly, because the technology base is here and the rest of it is strictly logistics. And I don't want to, I'm not trying to underestimate the effort to get there, but it's well within our capability and it's well within our technical capability.
So the staffing side of the equation is okay? You're not having trouble finding qualified personnel?
When you have a company with 200 people spread over a couple of locations, to increase your headcount by 10 or 15 or 20 or 25% in a relatively short amount of time is not a huge number of people. And we are considered to be a good employer in the area. Our wages are competitive. Our benefits are competitive. I think the way we manage people, we have a very pleasant work environment. So getting people has not been a huge issue, as it has been in other parts of the country that I've been involved with over the last 30 years.
Great. Well, Steve, thank you very much for coming on PCB Chat, and congratulations on the acquisition of Zentech. I'm looking forward to see what happens in the next phase of the Zentech story.
Thank you very much, Mike, and happy to talk to you down the road so you can catch up and see how we did against our plans.
Good deal. I want to remind listeners that today's podcast has been sponsored by PCB West, the leading conference and exhibition for the printed circuit design and manufacturing industry. Join thousands of engineers and designers this September at the Santa Clara, California Convention Center. Visit the website at pcbwest.com for more information. This has been Mike Buetow for PCB Chat. Have a nice day.